have the honor of listening to Gauranga ji. I think Gauranga ji does not need any introduction, although he's asking me to. But he has come from India. He has a couple of occasions in ISKCON for this weekend. But he runs the GEP, and I will let him speak more about it in India, where he is very active. He is here to talk to our youth, to make sure that we continue following our culture that we have left behind in India. So looking forward for all the youth especially to pay attention to what he's saying, and all the adults to refresh our mind always. And
thank you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Deepti ji, and thank you, Harish for hosting us for one more session. Last year we had the amazing conversation with Jay, and we had chapters from across North America which came from Sewa. I'll speak briefly on the principle of why we need spirituality, because I come from the ecosystem of spirituality. And on the 13th at Atlanta, the DCF is organizing a conference, and one of the talks which I'm giving as part of a panel is how can spirituality connect with Sewa, because we are looking at Sewa as an ecosystem for service. Okay, so what exactly does spirituality do? Because when I ask anybody, when you go to a hospital, what does the hospital provide as a service? They'll say, okay, the hospital gives me relief from physical pain. So it's very clear why the building exists, why that industry exists, why that ecosystem exists. If you walk into a restaurant, you know, what does this restaurant do? It relieves you from the pain of hunger. When I walk into a library, what does it provide? It gives me freedom from the pain of ignorance. If I walk into a gas station, then what do I get? I get freedom from the pain of not having fuel by which I can drive. So it relieves the pain of my journey. So every ecosystem or service which you are connected with, it is offering you some relief from some pain in this world. And we have clarity on that. But when you look at spiritual places of worship, what do places of worship provide as a service to society? Do they resolve any pain, or do they add to the pain? What exactly we are looking at in terms of all the temples and the mosques and the churches and the synagogues and the gurudwaras and all of these? How relevant are they in our life? Because most of the other things I spoke about, we feel we need them. I need gas, I need food, I need knowledge, I need medicines from the hospital. These are all very critical services in society. But when I talk about spirituality, immediately many people may think it may not be critical, it may be optional. So today I want to just highlight that we are not just talking about only Hindu Sanatan Dharma, but in general, to help you understand, because we have a huge segment of the world who do follow some kind of spirituality or religion. 31% of the world is Christians, 23% of the world is Muslims, almost 15% is Hindus, 8.5% Buddhists, right? So therefore, naturally, when we are looking at the whole ecosystem, we are having from thousands of years churches, temples, mosques, synagogues, built in some of the prime real estate across the world, having spent billions of dollars. And they continue to be built and continue to grow. And India has 70,000 hospitals, but 2 million temples. And the temple ecosystem continues to grow without any business plan. So, what exactly is that? What this ecosystem is providing in terms of service to the population? So, basically, all of us experience fear, anxiety, stress, maybe trauma, maybe depression, paranoia, whatever name you may give it. But some anxiety, some stress, some pain is always there. So the question is, if there is a service provider which can help you free yourself from that pain of fear and anxiety, provide you immunity from that pain of anxiety and fear, will that be a relevant addition in your life? To give you an example, just in India alone, 340 people commit suicide every single day. And the levels of anxiety and depression is growing significantly. 9 in 100,000 currently globally are committing suicide. 400 million plus across the world are experiencing anxiety and stress related disorders. So we are not looking at mental health as an option, but taking care of mental health has become the need of the hour. Right? I share my story when I was in IIT. One of my friends tried to commit suicide, and we were all shocked. Right? How can such a guy who's getting such good marks, why should he try to commit suicide? And he said, I tried to commit suicide because in every exam I get the gold medal. But in this exam, I got the silver medal. I'm used to being number one. And when I came number two, I couldn't handle it. And I told him, this is crazy. People are dying to enter into IIT and you are inside IIT trying to die. But he said, what to do? My mind is not accepting the idea that I could be anything but number one. That's called fixation in an identity. So many times we don't realize the power which our identifications have over us. In the same exam, I had 4 or 5 of my other friends who failed 4 or 5 subjects. ऐसे बोलते ना भारत में लुढ़क गए. 4 or 5 subjects they failed, but they were moving around the campus peacefully, blissfully, as if nothing happened. And they were moving around blessing others also. Relax, guys, be cool. Look at us. क्यों टेंशन लेते हैं? So I turned to them and said, hey, you guys are strange, shameless. You failed in 4 or 5 subjects, still you are moving around peacefully. What's your philosophy? And they said, our philosophy is simple. College में घुसना अपना काम है, निकलना college का काम. To enter is our job, taking her out is college's job. So this means, for the first time I realized that the experience of joy and satisfaction is not just dependent on your current experience, it is also very much a function of your expectation. And therefore, dear friends, stress is defined as the gap between expectation and reality. And all of us have experience of having a reality to face which is quite different from our expectation. That change, which is imposed upon our identity against our will, happens every moment, every day. And we are constantly juggling, struggling, doing our best to retain our identity with respect to our body. Body must be healthy, young, beautiful, strong, disease-free, whatever. That's an identity. Our identity with respect to our husband or wife or a relationship with a partner. And when that breaks, it causes trauma because it's affecting our identity. Right? I was giving a talk at a program in one of the universities outside India. And then one young boy walked up to me and started speaking to me in Hindi. I looked at him and said, "Hey, you don't look Indian. How can you speak Hindi?" And he said, "When I was 17 years old, I told my dad, you gave me everything in life. Big cars, big bungalows, big this, big that, everything. But I did not get the experience of family because when I was 2 years old, you were divorced. And I grew up in a huge house, lonely. Now, when I'm 17 years old, I want to experience what it means to be part of a loving family, exchanging emotions." Father said, "Baba, I'm too old now to give you experience of any family. Maybe you should go and try out India." Bharat, today, a country like Luxembourg has 88% divorce rate. Spain has 65% divorce rate. France has 55% divorce rate. Russia has 51% divorce rate. The global divorce rate is 44%. India still has a low divorce rate of 1%, but if we don't invest in our institutions, we will lose them. And we are losing the values very rapidly. He came to Varanasi, this boy. Father booked him a ticket and he came to Varanasi and he saw paying guest accepted. So he approached that family and he said, "Okay, I want to be a paying guest in your house for 2 years. But the agenda is to experience the loving ambience of a family. Because real wealth is to get all that things which money cannot buy. And therefore, I have experienced a lot of money, lot of wealth, but I have not experienced the closeness and emotional warmth of relationships. So can you help me with that? Just 2 years. Just how family sits together, eats together, celebrates festivals together, all these things. Just for 2 years. Allow me to be with. If you allow me to stay with your family for 2 years as a paying guest, every month I'll give a rental of 1 lakh rupees. That family said, "Why 2 years? Stay whole life." And they said, "If you have other friends also who want to experience family, we'll open one more room also." Goldman Sachs came with a report. 2015 to 2025, India's infrastructure investments will be to the tune of $1.4 trillion. out of that $800 billion would come from family savings. If there is no family feeling, why there will be family saving? So many times we underestimate the power of these relationships. And therefore, the second identity all of us have is the identity with a partner. And that also, when it goes through ups and downs, it affects us. The third identity we have is our identity with our kids. Our kids should study well, grow well, marry well, study, have jobs and education and everything. That's another thing. No, I don't need. For me, it's winter here. बंद कर दीजिए अभी के लिए. Yeah, थोड़ा शांति रहेगा. So, very important. And especially, I'm seeing a lot of Indian parents. So the anxiety is there a lot about the education. And when things don't manifest the way you expect, it affects. And therefore, it's very important that we realize that you can do your best, but then ultimately you have to leave the rest in His hands, right? Otherwise, sometimes, like I met somebody who gave me, one of my friends met this person, gave a business card, name was written, below the name was education qualification, and it said PhD BF. Well, ye kya bola? PhD but failed. Why you got to listen? My father wanted me to be PhD. Why? Two of my other cousins were PhD. So many decisions we kind of force kids to make because we have certain expectations. Father was teaching son mathematics at home. Typical scenario. Father said, "Beta, 9 multiplied by 8 is how much?" The son said, 78. The dad said, "Excellent, take a cookie." Father's friend said, "Hey man, 9 multiplied by 8 is not 78, it is 72. This guy is saying 78, you're rewarding him. What kind of maths you're teaching him?" Father said, "Relax, friend. Relax. Yesterday, I asked my boy the same question. How much is 9 into 8? Yesterday he said 88. Today he has come to 78. 2 दिन में आ जाएगा 72. आपको टेंशन देती है कि नहीं? आपको कहीं जाना था ना सर? अब बैठे रहेंगे तो बैठे रहेंगे, अपना तो चलता रहेगा. Thank you so much. So, this is a very important another identity. Fourth identity is with respect to our house. Then we have a fifth identity with respect to our vehicle. Then we have a sixth identity with respect to our money, net worth. And that's also quite, important because when the market crashes, when the business collapses, debts, when they roll on one's head, why do people commit suicide? Because their identity is, I am a businessman who makes money. That's the identity. But the balance sheet is showing, hey, you're massively losing money. So there is a huge gap between what the identity is and what the reality is. So they can't handle that. Therefore, they collapse. Especially during the late 1920s New York Stock Exchange collapse. So many people they ended their lives because they just could not face that reality. So many of us underestimate the power of the identity. And when the next identity is that of social influence, social acceptance. Recently, one girl, she committed suicide in Bharat. And the reason was she could not get 1 million followers at the speed with which she was expecting. She had set a deadline that I will get 1 million followers by this and this. So it came in the media, it was being talked about. And I was also approached by so many people for podcasts regarding that. But this is a fact. Social rejection can devastate a person like we cannot even imagine, right? And therefore, we have an identity that I'm liked by people, I'm loved by people. But when the reality is totally different from that, it affects and shakes your identity. And that was the reason Arjuna was not wanting to fight the battle. Arjuna had no issues with fighting. Arjuna is a fighter to the core. And Arjuna came to the battlefield of Kurukshetra, not that Arjuna had planned with Krishna. चलो वहां जाके आज कथा होगी ना, फर्स्ट 1 आवर थोड़ा रिलैक्स होगा, उसके बाद स्टार्ट होगा. नो, Arjuna went to fight with all the weapons. But when Arjuna reached there, his identity was I'm a fighter, and as a fighter, I will kill. But then his chariot was brought in front of Bhishma and Drona. And Arjuna looked at Bhishma and he said, here is my grandfather. For my grandfather, I have to be loving. And for my teacher, Drona, I have to be respecting. So Arjuna was suddenly trapped between three identities. Should I be fighting my enemy? Should I be respecting my teacher? Or should I be loving my grandfather? So the three identities were in conflict. And the conflict between the three identities made Arjuna collapse. Many times people say, अरे गीता युद्ध भूमि में क्यों सुनाई भाई? Why was Kurukshetra chosen? Why was battlefield chosen as a spot for speaking the message of the greatest message of peace? Doesn't make sense. Because external conflict comes when there is internal conflict. And therefore, Krishna wanted to point out to Arjuna, first resolve your internal conflicts. Overcome those internal conflicts. And those internal conflicts are centered around the conflicts between your multiple identities. And therefore, Krishna told Arjuna that you have identity as a warrior, you have identity as a grandson, you have identity as a student. Your swabhava is to fight, your swadharma is to fight, but still the current situation you are not able to resolve based on your swabhava and swadharma. Therefore, I have to reveal to you, Arjuna, your swarupa, which is that as a soul. So, therefore, the last identity is one's identity with respect to one's career or influence. I've been at the bedside in ICU of people who said, I got a heart attack because I was not given promotion. I said, "Arey, what's the big deal?" He said, this person was given promotion above me as my boss. And the worst thing was, I was the one who had recruited him in the company. I can't handle the situation. Career, influence. And if we start identifying with the title, with our designation, with our this and that, when that changes, so it may appear to be just a name change in the visiting card, but to the person who's going through, it's a collapse of their identity. Therefore, why the Bhagavad Gita is so popular globally since ages? Why the Bhagavad Gita today is all over the world? Srila Prabhupada was in London and he was asked the question, Swamiji, why you came to London? And Prabhupada said, the Britishers for the last 300 years have stolen gold, emerald, ruby, jewels from India, but forgot to steal the most precious jewel, Bhagavad Gita, uska home delivery karne aaye. So since then, ISKCON has distributed 550 million Bhagavad Gitas in 80 languages in 120 countries with 1100 temples all over the world now. But the principle is India has become now famous for exporting technology engineers. Much before that, India was always the hub for Sanatan Dharma. And that's exactly what we are trying to share with people. Understand what is Sanatan Dharma's value in your daily life. So these 8 identities which I described, Atma, body, Jaya with your husband or wife, Sutta with your children, Agara with your house, Pashu with your vehicle, Dravana with money, Bandhushu with social acceptance, Rajya with your career and influence. These are the 8 identities which are tormenting you from morning till night in your waking up time. Each is fighting the other. If the body is healthy, husband or wife is not happy, or they are happy, kids are unhappy. If they are also happy, boss is not happy, this or that, morning till night, whatever you call as chinta, is nothing but all these identities which you are trying to juggle to keep as per your expectation. And therefore, when each one of us are trying to fulfill these dharmas or duties, there is dharma towards the body, to maintain it, to feed it, to give it rest, to treat it. There is dharma towards husband and wife. There is dharma towards kids. There is dharma towards your house. You have to pay the taxes of the house. You have to mow the lawn. You have to make sure the house is clean. All those things. वो भी धर्म है भैया. नहीं तो घर टूट के गिर जाएगा. There is dharma towards your vehicle. You have to make sure the license is there, the papers are in place, the insurance is paid, and this and that, so many things. There is dharma towards money, making money, growing money, investing money. There is dharma towards your social acceptance. You have to attend social events, you have to attend relationships, you have to make sure that you are contributing socially so that there is a certain degree of collaboration, cooperation, connection, commitment, and there is dharma towards your career, your boss, your company, your organization, your business, your customers. These are all dharmas. So people say, yes, we are all doing our dharmas. So what is this Sanatan Dharma? What value does it add? And where does this temple manifest in all of this? And Gita with ये कहाँ बीच में आ जाता है? Beyond this eight, the Gita is saying, you don't have to neglect these eight, but you have to add a ninth dharma. You have to add the ninth dharma. And that is the duty of the Sanatan Atma towards the Sanatan Paramatma through Sanatan Sewa. That dharma between these three Sanatan is called Sanatan Dharma. मैं आत्मा हूं, सनातन हूं, वो परमात्मा है, सनातन है, हम दोनों के बीच सेवा का संबंध सनातन है. How do we manifest that? We manifest that through prayer, through implementation, action, and then seva. So therefore, prayer is how all of our forefathers, grandfathers have always told us, begin the day with a prayer. Prarthana se shuru kijiye. In every tradition, it's always early morning prayer. You have never been invited for any party early in the morning. Worship is always morning. Party is night. Why? Because you must begin the day by reinstating your identity. That दिन भर में बहुत सारे मेरे आइडेंटिटीज आएंगे जाएंगे बदलेंगे, लेकिन एक मेरी आइडेंटिटी है वो कभी नहीं बदलेगी. इससे मैं दिन शुरू करूं. Let me begin the day with the identity which will never change, which gives me the solid platform of confidence, conviction to face all the other eight changes, all the other identity changes. When we go through some emotional trauma, we always fall back upon our best friends because they say, there is someone who's behind me, who's with me. So that someone in Sanatan Dharma is the supreme, and across all traditions, whether it's a Christian, Jew, Sikh, Jain, whatever, the tradition and the practice of prayer is centered around the philosophy of identifying, acknowledging, and activating your ninth identity of being an Atma. That's the market segment where all religious groups are. How to connect that Atma to the Paramatma. So all talk about five things. Karma, action, Kala, time, Prakriti, nature, Atma, Jeev, and Ishwar, controller. सारे धर्म उसके बारे में चर्चा कर रहे हैं. There is no Hindu, Christian, Muslim karma. There is no Hindu, Christian, Muslim, Jewish Kala or time. There is no Hindu, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Jain, Prakriti or nature. There is no Hindu, Christian, Muslim, Jewish Atma. 4 out of 5 तो agreement है. पांचवा आ गया ईश्वर. Everybody accept there is a ईश्वर, there is a controller. Across religions, everybody accept there is. So I say 4.5 out of 5 there is agreement, Baba. Last 0.5 को लेके क्यों झगड़ा कर? When you start naming who's that, then all the conflicts begin. And therefore, the intelligent class of people get totally confused on the principle of religion itself and say, forget it. कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा तो छोड़ो उसको. Therefore, today's session is to help you understand that prayer is the immunity against the virus of change. If the change in identity which is going to be imposed upon you through any of these 8 different types is to be considered as a virus which will attack you in the day, you need to prepare yourself to improve, enhance your immunity. That immunity booster is the prayer. When I know it's going to be cold outside, you wear a coat. When you know it's going to rain outside, you take an umbrella. You prepare yourself. You can't blame the weather. When I know I'm going to be bombarded by change against my will in the day, what preparation am I making to protect myself from that change? And so instead of ridiculing our forefathers and our grandfathers and others who would tell us to get up and pray, we should rather be going back to our roots and understand that what seemed to be a simple ritual, but it may not have been explained to us contextually this way. We took it for granted and over a period of time just forgot it, obliterated it from our schedule. And instead of beginning the day with the prayer, we are beginning the day with social media. Instead of beginning the day with Nandagram, we are beginning with Instagram. And rather than stabilizing the mind first thing in the morning, we are agitating the mind first thing. And the results are there to show how people are getting affected. So people tell me, अरे थोड़ा बिजनेस कोचिंग कर सकते हैं क्या, ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल डेवलपमेंट? बाबा ये सब बहुत बड़ी बड़ी बातें हैं. I only specialize in 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. is my domain. Going to sleep on time, getting up on time, offering prayer, understanding the philosophy, preparing yourself before you begin the day of work. Because if you prepare well for the battle, then you will know how to win the battle. Today, you'll be shocked to know 75% of the world's leaders cannot sleep at night properly. Majority of the young generation don't believe in sleeping before 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. When I call some young people, Arey, Mangal Aarti aaye 4:30, they say, okay, we will attend Aarti, then go to sleep. That's easier for us. So I'm just saying. So this is the situation. So very important that as the diaspora, you should know that we have inherited a very powerful culture. And if we don't invest in that culture, we will lose it. If your forefathers and your parents and grandparents have made fortune and handed over the billions of dollars to you, it is your responsibility to preserve it and grow it. All the Sanatan Dharma culture we have received is like that inheritance. If we neglect it, we will lose it. And I stand here as a graduate from IIT Mumbai, 89-93, and then dedicating myself to the cause of preserving Sanatan Dharma, because I thought that here is wisdom which is 24 karat gold, but it is not being communicated in the way the modern educated intellectual can relate with. And that's why I'm in this mission for almost 32 years. And since COVID time, we are very closely collaborating with Sewa International. And especially all of you must have heard of the atrocity which happened in Palghar district. How many of you have heard of that atrocity? As soon as you say Palghar, everybody only thinks of that. So the ISKCON has been at the forefront of creating an eco village there. At the same time, we are doing hunger-free Palghar across the districts. And we are proud to share that Sewa International has been our fantastic partner for the last 4 years. There is also a 70,000 square feet skill development center where Sewa supports the food distribution for all of the youth who have been skilled in 72 trades. And like that, multiple initiatives we are collaborating upon. And that's what the Sanatan Dharma tradition was all about. First, experience Samanvay, and once there is Samanvay, there is Seva. So the three important things. First is you have to have your responsibility. Then, based on the responsibility, there is restraint. First begins with respect, Ishavasamidam Sarvam, respecting the Supreme. Pray. Based on that respect, you have responsibility, which is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Everybody is part of our family. And based on that, there is third, restraint. Nirashiryata chittatma tyakta sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvanna. जब आपको पता है कि भाई इनको भी खिलाना है, इनको भी खिलाना है, इनको भी खिलाना है, ये भी करना है, ये भी करना है, तो ऑटोमेटिकली एज अ रेस्पॉन्सिबल हेड ऑफ द फैमिली you restrain because you are concerned about multiple people. So that's how every member in the society will become very, very empathetic towards others. And the culture of seva will expand exponentially once we become transformed spiritually. So therefore, I stand here as one of the sevaks of Sanatan Dharma, wisdom and tradition. And I stand here in front of some of the most powerful warriors of Sanatan Dharma Seva. And I hope that each one of you can try to imbibe a few drops of our tradition, transform your lives, transform your families' lives, and transform societies. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.